Cool. So hope you guys had a chance to review the post, and we have like a very packed week next week. With events, earnings, and FOMC, and whatever is going on in Middle East. It's really bad. So we don't know what's going to happen there too. So quite a few things going on, and uh, you know, we don't know what after hours movement will look like, or then we have FOMC on Wednesday, so that might kind of flip changes. So I just wanted to kind of review some critical levels, which we should know, and what we can trade against, right? We took some starter longs on the QQQ on Friday. We did not get a new low on Friday. Market was again bouncing back from the lows. That was a good sign, and we kind of took some longs, and we wanted to add something more or some more if we get another dip, right? So which we didn't on Friday, but market held well, and if you look, futures are kind of doing all right at this point of time. So let's just go over what few scenarios looks like, and how we can count and what are the possibilities. My suggestion would be, of course, this week let's trade it light, because in the morning we are dealing with the data, and after hours we are dealing with the earnings, so there isn't really kind of play where we can swing comfortably unless we are at a level and a formation which kind of makes sense, right? So we'll see what happens during the week. But so far, if you look at US 500, we talked about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 formation after this, same day flip happened. Doesn't look great when I look into it from, symmetry perspective, but kind of still, if this is a five wave, because there is a five wave on QQQ, right? So this is what we're looking at first. That we have a three waves. We got a bounce as expected, then the sell on the same day, right? So I opted to have an option that maybe this is a fifth way in its own weird way. So let's not discount that, and we are still looking for a bounce from 5400 area, and we got that, right? So it did not go and close the gap that it had in SPX for 5375. It stayed above it. If you zoom out, 5375 or a little bit below 5366, these are great areas. This is the demand from where the previous rally happened, right? So this area, so expectation stays that this area will hold if there is a dip that comes. If there is a dip that comes, which makes a new lows, not that we are expecting a new dip to come into this area. So if the five waves are complete, or the three waves are complete, whichever way this correction was, if this is still a three waves, then we are looking at potentially building up a new high, above this area, because three waves are either optional, either an option in a flat correction, which means we get three down, we get three up, and possibly a double top and a five down, or just make a new high, right? If this is a five waves, yeah, then there is a chance that we will get some rejection in, this particular area, which is a big supply zone again, and potentially once we head up into this area, we get a new leg starting down from there, right? So those are the things that we need to watch out for. But look into the smaller, count here. So if these five were completed or three were completed, and right now it looks like we are creating another impulse formation, with this being our first wave. We don't know if this was a A drop and we are heading for a B. If it starts trading above 5490, then of course it's not a B, it's going for 3 or C, whatever we want to call it as. But otherwise, there is a chance that it can dip again back to this area about 5431 tomorrow, and then we can have a next rally up, something like this. Now again, like I said, we don't know if this is building up a new wave structure here, where we will get let's say 345, a dip again, and going three up, four and five, something like this. getting to 5700 or above, right? So this is a possibility if this is a three wave down, like I said. If not, then we are looking at possibly some kind of three wave up where it may get truncated before, and then we are looking at double top and a sell or something like that, right? So there are a few ways it can head up. We are in a correction. We know that it takes multiple formations, within the correction. So kind of trying to anticipate what is going on. But for now, the bias on hourly side or even on a 4-hour chart, it remains bullish, right? That we are heading up. Are we heading just into 5570 area around this area or and close this gap, or are we gonna make this five waves pull back a little bit back to 5490, which has been a resistance so far on last Thursday and Friday? That becomes support, and then we just head higher from there, right? Like this. So this is what our few options are on the downside. On the lower side, like I said, I don't have an expectation for it to go to 5375. So I would keep this area, basically this small area 5430 and 5420, where we bought the spike calls last week. As the area of dip buy, if it comes here for this wave two, if everything is over, we start trading above 5490 by the morning, then yes, we are heading higher for sure, right? So we have QQQ calls at this point, and the VIX puts as well, so that should work out. But if this comes down here in this area, we can look at adding spy calls as well, right? How it holds here. So that's what it looks like from SPX perspective. And similarly on US 100 or QQQ, we have to cross this 19219 area. Kind of a little bit of a change here between SPX and the QQQ was that while or US 500 and 100 was that where you saw US 500 dipping slightly like 0.20 cents on the reversal of the same day, making a new low by 0.20 cents. This one did not. So it's possible that this was a 1 and 2 of this, and now we are doing a 1, 2, and possibly a third wave move up here, right? So that's another, sorry, okay. So this is moving up in the third wave, creating a sub 1, 2 and all that, right? So we are looking at this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make a third, fourth, and fifth, right? So like this. So this is what QQQ could do and look like I explained for US 500. And once it gets there, we'll see, once it gets up into this resistance line and all, we'll see what structure it is forming. It is looking impulsive or not, because again, if it's impulsive, it could be making a zigzag retracement to this whole thing. So we have five waves down. The five waves down can be retraced back in a wave B or wave 2, back again as as a zigzag. So if we get these five waves, which could be an A leg of a zigzag, we get a drop, and we get another one here, right? So something like this. So this will become an ABC. Similar thing can happen in US 500 or can make a new high. So we'll see about that. I mean, US 500 had a less dip than US 100. So a double top is a possibility. If US 500 gets more push, and US 100 can only do the partial. That was my thought last week on Wednesday and Thursday, right? So we'll see. But again, this area kind of is critical around 20,000, 20,161, right? For making this zigzag move up, and post that we can have another leg down, whether that's a 3 or a C. We'll just see about that, right? So that's what I'm looking at. These two indexes moving higher, and yeah, that's about it. So on a larger scale, once we get this, then we'll see if we get a 3 down, or whether it's like just a C wave down. So something that we'll have to see. But first thing is, let's just let it move up. this week. Whether it takes the whole week to do this, or whether it takes lesser time than that, right? So we'll see a lot of volatility in the week, and we'll just kind of resolve it as it moves upwards. Quite a solid move going on right now, already around 20 points up on US 500, right? So we'll see what happens at 5490. Is it able to cross it? Does it sell over overnight and come back here? But like we have full 13 hours kind of right now before the cash open, and we'll just see what happens there. Any questions on SPX and or US 500, 100 or SPX QQQ? Okay. All right. We have a pretty small group today. Generally, we have at least 10 folks. Um, okay. All right. So DIA, we have been talking about this last move being, the fifth wave move again. On the upside. Bounce from the VWAP after dropping from the key levels. It was too deep for a four, but still again not entering into the wave one, so nothing violated there. Just looking at making a minor high, we get this minor high, we can take a shots on this one on the DI, right? So kind of hitting the top trend line resistance there as well, from this top, and just going and zooming out on this whole picture here, right? It's not exactly has reached 161% by doing this. Probably 120. Oh, it's a little above 127%, not exactly 161%. I expected this move to kind of push it towards 430, but again, these dips are like too much, like I said. So we potentially may not get the full 161% move here. Probably gonna just rally into somewhere into this resistance again. About 416 or so, and then start the drop and the correction like expected on the other indexes as well. So let me just clear this up so it's kind of visible what we are talking about, right? So that's what is anticipated for the Dow. And this is again a third wave dip, and my counts have moved a lot here. So looking at if this was one, two, we are looking at completion of a third wave here somewhere, a dip for a four, and then a fifth wave up. Let me just read this, right? So that's what we are looking at. A drop of another, quite a few points there, around 40 points, which is like almost 10%, more than 10% maybe, on this one, and then one more rally, right? So this is Dow and the IWM. Let's check that out. You pretty much know the idea on IWM. We have been tracking that for quite a while in last couple of weeks. So we had this small breakout. It didn't really break out above the previous highs, but there is not a lot of upside left from here. The breakout happens, yeah, it'll go 6 7 points more up, maybe quite sharp up there. Can it chop till FOMC? Maybe it can chop till FOMC, or it may have a pre-run before FOMC, and it starts dropping if again the expectation on the rate cuts is not very clear, right? And Powell stays on a statement that okay, we are data dependent and we are still reviewing. There's nothing finalized, and how the dot plot looks like, right? So, if there are cuts coming in later in this year, again, it could be sell the news as well. But I don't see it moving beyond 234 in this particular run, which is gonna be the resistance point here in this area, right? So previous highs, close to previous highs, and closing this gap as well. So from here, it can still push down, right? So if these are the five waves completing, then we get another push down, come back down to 210, 211, and then we'll see what happens from there. So this is gonna be our IWM. You can certainly take a long if we start getting a breakout above 226. Just make sure it does not fake out and start selling, right? That will be the stop loss if there is a candle on hourly basis. Once it goes up and start traversing back and closes below 224 or something like that, that can be taken as a stop loss for IWM. If you're looking at, again, taking the longs. If you're still holding some from last week, that's a different thing. Can hold it certainly with 223 or even 222 as a stop loss, right? So that is where we stand on IWM. So before I take a pause, let's just cover VIX as well. VIX, we took the put somewhere around in this area, about 18 point something, and the expectation is to, for it to drop back to first to 14.80 or 13.95, right? So we'll see, and the lowest it can go to is 13.20, depending on how much further push we are getting on the indexes, right? So quite push down from the supply as expected in this area. Now we are looking at going back to the demand, which is somewhere around 13.29, right? So that supports our up move on the indexes as well. So that kind of covers up your indexes. And if you look at SMH, kind of started, did a stop loss hunt here. Probably finished these five waves. Now, whether it was a C of a flat or this was a A of five waves, now we are just expecting a bounce partial back to this area, right, where the supply is. And we'll see, it does it look impulsive or is it just a partial retracement up into this supply, and yeah, and if it rejects from there, right? So this is the supply that it's gonna hit, and post that probably we may see another drop for a larger phase 4, right? So that's your SMH. I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions. Okay, cool, looks clear. Bitcoin, we are here doing the wave 5 off of 5, I believe. We're getting pretty close, right? So will we see 70k? Probably 70k this area. I think this sounds about right. And post this, I do want to see the dip. We have been holding position somewhere from 55. I think we started buying, after we got this retracement somewhere around 55-ish. I don't remember the exact number. We are up here at 70k. My opinion on Friday was, if you want to take profits and reload at 60, that's totally your choice. If you just want to hold and add on a dip, that's fine too. But next add happens on the test of 62 and 431 or 430, right? So this is the area I'm looking to add more. Ethereum was a little different. It kind of already dipped back quite a bit to 61% on this dip, where I asked to add ETH around in this area. Heading to 33.75 right now. Probably we'll see that number in the morning. And if Bitcoin is going to take a kind of trip down, I think Ethereum is just running a little bit ahead by doing a A wave first. Now it's B, and probably on the first dip of Bitcoin, it might be just doing the C leg. So which means Ethereum might be running ahead at this time in front of Bitcoin, right? So in this dip, right? So that's kind of my assumption. That's why I added ETH on that day. If you want to kind of again take profits partially, want to reload again, that's another way of doing it. If you want to trade all the legs, I just added it. If it breaks out and starts going up, that's fine. If it comes down, I probably have an option to add some more before we really get our wave 3. Wave 3 will be like too strong, uh, possibly 4700 or somewhere around this area. All right, let's look into the larger area, making a double top somewhere here. for this wave 3. That's what I am looking to capture once we get this breakout, which may be still, kind of a little far away, may take around 2 to 3 weeks to get started if it's gonna chop around or something like that, and then there's probably somewhere in late August we'll see it meeting our targets, and that's where we'll see if we need to book everything or let it run for maybe it was gonna go above 161% to 200%, something like that, and then retrieve, pull back for. Wave 4 and wave 5 and all that. We don't have to kind of keep it all the way, but this is a good area that we will look into, booking these ETH, ETFs, and all that that we are kind of buying, right? So that's the idea that I have in this. Now, if I expect, Bitcoin and ETH to kind of take a dip, that was my opinion, and coin has earnings as well, right? So we'll see which ways it goes. My only point was it has chopped so much. Again, if you are not in around the 210, 220 levels, which I've given before, there's no point chasing it right before the earnings. It's very possible that with this dip, they come and do one more stop loss hunt, right back into the 193 level. It's a possibility. I can't say it for sure. But if this comes into 193, that is where I would be interested in adding up more coin, right? I don't have coin as of now, not more coin. I'll add coin if that happens, right? Otherwise, I do not have any kind of play here to get in right before earnings, and when I think Bitcoin is gonna take a 10% move down, right? So it doesn't make sense for me to buy it here. It hasn't been asked multiple times. All what I've said all the time is that as it gets close and below 220, just add it as stocks. That's kind of a still good value out there, and if they make another dip, you can always add. 193, it did not do it when even Bitcoin did 53. So is it, are they gonna do it? I don't know, right? But if they do, yeah, that's a good point to add, because this is still very they're making small higher highs, higher lows, right? So it could be a 1 2 1 2, may not see another dip more than 220, 220, close this gap and then start moving up. So let's revisit after what happens in the earnings, right? So Bitcoin is going to take some time to do the ABC moves and drop back to 62, 63 K value. It's not going to happen as quickly as just this week, maybe first leg or so, right? So we'll see where coin trades after that. And so is with the MSTR. Another high was created. Probably another higher low will be created around this support area, right? And 1354 may be a great area to buy again. And this is kind of making an ascending triangle as well for a breakout, which is another very nice, pattern to kind of stay bullish on, right? So once it kind of uh, gets very tight in this, this will be a very good point, 1350 to buy it, and the next one may just break it out, right? So if you are not in MSTR, this is the area where we can get back in MSTR. All right, any questions? Okay, all right. So quickly we can go over the Mag 7, though, we may not have much trades other than maybe Google this week if you want to. But other than that, we'll be looking at, Apple is to kind of hold the line on 207, right? Again, it has earning um, on Thursday, but it can also happen that this wave 4 can come in short, and we get a kind of a move up, towards 240, 245 with earnings, right? If that happens, that may be a good shot to actually take that. Okay, this pump images fade, right? So so far it looks corrective move down. It doesn't look much impulsive. We have like 3 waves down, so that's an option to keep in mind, like A, B, and C, right? So if this is all completed, we may have an opportunity to see it going high in the earnings, and if that happens, that would be an area to kind of do some long-term puts after the earnings are done, right? So we don't want to play it before earnings. If you want to do some lotus, that's fine. But this is where it looks like it can go. If it becomes more complex, like I said, A, B, C, and then goes up, that's a different complex situation again, which I would wait for 207 test to see if that happens, and if that holds, probably after the earnings, that may be another area to do long, right? But between one of these, it's a possibility that we get a new high based on just that we got this three-wave drop. Nothing more, nothing more than that, right? So that's Apple. Amazon, again, our previous trade did not work out, and we were looking at this being a wave one, two, and this was an ongoing three, four, five. We were looking at something like this, but it failed midway, right? So that did not help, and it turned out to be an ABC and doing maybe some sort of a fifth wave here, which got truncated, and we got pushback. So now my level of area of interest on this one is 167. How it comes there, when it comes after earnings, or whatnot, we'll see. But this is the area if you want to take longs, then 167 and 160 is a good spot. Other than that, it's just chasing in the middle of nowhere in this chop zone, which I personally do not have any interest on this one. That's Amazon. Google, as we expected, once it started cracking through that 184-ish area, or 183, right, that it's not really looking good, and going into the correction. So now it is coming down to the support level at 165, and this is the area where it can bounce and probably close this earning gap that we have, like 182 or so area, and then come down again for wave C, right? So that's what we're looking at. So earning is done on this one. If you want to trade this level, sounds all right. That we have, around 165 as support, and then we have 161 point something or 162 as support, right? So this area is a good area to go long, and the target is like closing the gaps at 182. So good risk and reward for this one on Google. Meta, this one I kind of shared my opinion, that we have, kind of both ways it goes there. Comes down to 387, no brainer. It's a good support there, and probably, this is like the all time high breakout support. Certainly, a good area to test the longs, right? And if the top is not in, like a all time high top is not in, we would expect 387 to kind of provide the support here, right? This is the favorite spot closing this gap to go in. But what if this is not what we are looking at, and this whole thing was just a wave to pullback, right? So the way, I kind of shared it before as well, that this could be one, two, three, four, five, and we're just looking at ABC down, and it's holding this demand, right? So if it's holding this demand, and generally what Meta has done in many earnings just before the last one is giving us a 70-80 dollars pump, right? So what what if we get something like this? It's entirely possible. I cannot just say it's not, since just it's holding this demand, and this dip right now is a very three-wave dip, right? So quite an interesting one, where we have both scenarios possible. Like I said, 387 is a no-brainer, but this can be a good lotto as well if we want to play before earnings, right? So that's kind of another way to look into this, right? So that's Meta. MSFT, again, something which broke the pattern while it was going up. Again, we were looking at it as that, okay, as the indexes were continuing, we probably had one more leg up, and this was like a one, two, three, probably a four, and one fifth one, and this will be done then. But again, it's kind of very odd waves here. Like you can count it five if you include this leg and this drop with the overlapping four, and then this fifth wave, which is pretty much extended. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is what we got, so we have to deal with it, right? So I'm not kind of looking at doing anything until it lands back into 393 area, or better yet, a 364 area, right? So 393 is a good support which has held for a very, very long time. Probably it may happen that it drops into this during the earnings this week, or we may get just a retracement move and then slowly it drops after that. So there's nothing much to play around in this one. We'll just see what happens after earnings on this. Not really very clear at this point. Here is what we have. Nvidia again. I mean, this was a very good support that we called out on Thursday or Friday morning. It was Thursday, I guess. Yeah. Had a nice bounce from 107. Below 107, the biggest area is this breakout area, like 97. 97 is where it's worth trying to take the longs. If you've already taken, that's fine, but 97 is kind of an area where which kind of interests me, but just because this is the whole trend support comes around in that area, right? So kind of makes sense to give it a try at that point, because if 97 starts breaking, then we are looking at deep down here in this particular zone, which is about 73, right? Which will be quite deep. Again, 750 area, right? But again, there is a small gap here too. This again is a very good, zone here. All right, this was the last, I think, 2 quarters before earning gap, right? But it can keep dipping down if it drops 97, right? So 107, great support. May not see another low coming, but if 97 comes, I will certainly like the risk reward on that one to just add it at that point of time, right? For another rally. I didn't add anything on 107. I'm just looking at how this correction pans out, and do we get a deeper discount to add these names, or if I miss this last leg, that's just fine. There will be a good opportunity to short after. Tesla, this is Tesla. So Tesla does offer a good risk reward at this point because this area about 216, 217, a good area to add. Stop loss is very clear of 213. Daily close between 213, we can exit the longs, and the expectation is to touch 300 if this is a wave 4. If this would not be a wave 4, and again it turns into a 3 wave structure like it has done few times in the past, then we are looking at another deeper discount coming back to 167, and from there onwards we will see what Tesla has to offer. It could be just working in this big triangle that's working. It's an A down, B, C, D, E, and then we get the next wave starting up from there. So a very clear risk and reward on this one. You buy in this area. 213 is your stop loss. If 213 goes, then we are looking at a break of 206 as well, which is showing as a good support. But my 5 waves kind of start getting diluted there, that idea. And then we are just looking at probably making that E leg down, and another 3 wave move here somehow, like you bounce from 206, go up and go down, something like that, or you come down to 190, bounce back again to 225, come back down to 167, and then you, after a few months in November, somewhere October November timeframe, you start making maybe close to Robotaxi event, which has been moved as well. So you possibly get a move from there. So that would be somewhere we will look into Tesla if this move kind of starts dropping down. So that covers the Mag 7 as well. Any questions? Okay, all right. Well, that's all what I wanted to cover on this one. On the only thing which I wanted to do, which I still find interesting, is of course gold. I had already exited around 218, 219, and 222 or 220 somewhere in the past. It's been just chopping. I think if I get an opportunity gain at 211, I would probably add that. Silver, on the other hand, if it starts breaking 25, I'll just book profit and get out of that, because that doesn't make sense to kind of keep the money there and just chopping. There are much better opportunities where the move is really happening rather than just holding something which is chopping, right? So that's about gold. Futures are moving pretty nice and sharply. Getting, oh, it already tested 90, didn't it? Yeah, already 87. Pretty nice. Let's see how overnight looks like, and probably we see it further up and kind of moving sharply there, which will help at least on the couple of positions that we are holding. I know some of you have been buying other stocks as well, so that'll help. Cool. All right. Anything else before we call it a day? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. This was a short call, and I hope it helped.